There's a tendency for us many times to depend upon the passing of our history by word of mouth. She speaks in her books, for instance, about the so-called griots. These are the elders of our race who we depend upon to pass along the stories, pass along the tales, pass along many of the achievements of our people. In this case, I think it's very significant that this is written by a man who, first of all, was not only a student of this school, but worked his way back to the school, gave back to the school by becoming teacher, dean, guidance counselor, and finally principal, and certainly has a first-hand knowledge of the achievements of the school. But most important, he gives in this book a description of a little known part of our history and the Black experience. What is also significant is that this is little known by many of the people who lived in the very immediate area as to what the school achieved. More astounding is the fact that this school was in an area which many of us would consider blighted. I came to the school in 1955, 56. Drugs had begun to infiltrate the area, crime. And yet, despite all of this, you still had this bastion, you still had this citadel of learning, which top flight students were being turned out, despite these incumbent factors. Very little, as far as I know, was ever said about it. You had individuals who not only graduated, but became figures both on the local level, the national level, the international level. Charles Rangel, politician. John Carlos, who can forget John in 1968? The clenched fist, the Olympic Games. John, who later, after doing that, was blacklisted, who paid the heavy price, who could not get a job, who could not even hold the job coaching a girls' track team because he was blacklisted. John, whose wife committed suicide. Who can forget Brock Peters, who was nominated for an Academy Award, who recently passed away? James Baldwin, the author of God knows how many books, who was a member of the Arista at Douglas. Robert Lowry, fire commissioner. This is just to name a few. To even think about the staff, do you realize that you had on staff as teachers people like County Cullen, the great poet, Harcourt Tynes, who was one of the people who started the original Niagara movement and the first march on Washington that took place in 1941. Out of that school, you had coming at least 4 people who became superintendents of districts. Out of that school, you had at least 24 people who later went on to become school administrators of plants that had pupil populations of 2,000 or more. Out of that school, you had individuals who went on to become full college professors, members of the Board of Education, and the list goes on. All coming from what really, one can say, was not only a citadel, but in some respects was a Mecca. We have enough people other than ourselves who are writing our history, enough individuals who are distorting it. I welcome this attempt by Dr. McMurrin.